Welcome everyone and thank you for joining us today as we dive into one of the most fascinating and mind-blowing discoveries in the world of rare coins, the story of the 1992 quarter dollar coin that has stunned collectors, historians, and investors alike with its jaw-dropping estimated value of $29 million. Not simply because it is an ordinary piece of currency but because of the rare errors and mistakes that slipped through the minting process, turning what was meant to be a common pocket change into one of the most valuable treasures in numismatic history. And in this video we are going to explore the journey of this coin, the types of errors that make it so unique, why these mistakes are so rare, the possibilities of how such a coin could have even been produced at the Philadelphia Mint in 1992, and what makes collectors willing to pay extraordinary sums of money to possess such a piece, because behind the shine of this small metal disc lies a story of precision gone wrong, chance aligned with history, and the unquenchable thirst for rarity that drives the coin collecting community into frenzy whenever such a discovery is confirmed. So let us break it down, starting with the fact that the 1992 quarter was part of the Washington Quarter series, which had been circulating since 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, struck in copper-nickel clad composition with a design most Americans were familiar with in their daily spending. And while millions of these coins rolled out of the Philadelphia Mint presses, a handful carried flaws so significant that they transformed from everyday change into multi-million-dollar collectibles. One of the most talked about features is the possibility of a doubled die obverse, where the image of George Washington's profile shows doubling in areas like the eye, the lips, or the motto, "In God We Trust," creating a ghostly shadow-like image that sharp-eyed collectors immediately identify as a rare minting mistake. These double dies occur when the hub that imprints the design onto the die shifts slightly between impressions, and while minor doubling can sometimes be dismissed, significant and bold doubling on a 1992 quarter would make it a standout rarity. Another error often associated with coins of this period is off-center striking, where instead of being perfectly centered the design is shifted noticeably, leaving part of the coin blank and part carrying the design, and if the date and mint mark remain fully visible despite the off-center strike, the coin's value skyrockets. Then there are broad strike errors where the coin is struck outside of the retaining collar so that the rim expands unnaturally, giving the coin a warped or stretched look, something not intended but incredibly desirable to collectors who prize mint mistakes as much as flawless strikes. Beyond that, there are possibilities of transitional errors. For example, if a 1992 quarter was mistakenly struck on a planchet meant for another denomination like a dime or a foreign coin blank, it would create an anomaly instantly worth a fortune because such minting blunders are practically 1 in a billion occurrences. Imagine a quarter-sized design imprinted on a thinner or smaller planchet. The mismatched weight and size would reveal its rarity immediately to anyone knowledgeable enough to weigh and measure it. And these off-metal errors are often the holy grail of coin collecting. Another factor adding intrigue to the 1992 quarter is the possibility of missing elements like a completely absent clad layer, leaving only the copper core exposed and giving the coin a distinct reddish appearance instead of the silvery finish people expect. Coins with missing clad layers are considered extremely valuable because they reveal a failure in the preparation of coin blanks before striking. Some error coins are also known to exhibit die cracks, where the steel die itself begins to fracture under immense pressure, leaving raised lines or ridges across the coin's surface, and when those cracks intersect with critical features like Washington's portrait or the date, the uniqueness is amplified, and collectors who specialize in error coins view these as distinct fingerprints of the minting process gone wrong. Adding to the mystique is the notion that certain 1992 quarters may even bear what numismatists call a mule error, which is when obverse and reverse dies from different coins are mistakenly paired. For instance, if a quarter obverse were paired with a dime reverse, though extremely rare, mule coins have been confirmed in U.S. history, and each discovery has rocked the numismatic world with staggering valuations. Now when we talk about the 1992 quarter being worth as much as $29 million, we are not just talking about one single type of error but the possibility of a combination of features that make it truly one of a kind, such as a double die obverse combined with an off-center strike and a missing clad layer, a trifecta of mistakes that should have never left the mint but somehow escaped quality control, slipped into circulation, and decades later was identified as a numismatic marvel. Collectors value rarity above all else, and rarity is driven not only by how few exist but also by how many want it. The 1992 quarter with such dramatic errors checks both boxes, since demand among elite collectors willing to bid astronomical sums at auction far exceeds the tiny supply of such pieces. Another aspect that adds to its mystique is provenance, meaning the story of how the coin was discovered and passed down through time. Imagine someone finding such a coin in their pocket change, setting it aside without realizing its significance, and years later bringing it to an auction where experts verify its authenticity and its unique combination of errors. Suddenly it becomes headline news in the coin collecting community, driving its value higher as competing buyers raise the stakes to secure ownership. The Philadelphia Mint, where this coin originated, is known for massive production runs, and while quality control is typically stringent, the sheer volume of coins produced leaves room for occasional mistakes, and when those mistakes happen in a year like 1992 where transitional changes and die replacements were frequent, the chance of something spectacular occurring increases. Add to this the human factor, as mint workers are under pressure to keep presses running smoothly, and it becomes clear how rare mishaps can sneak past inspections. Collectors also consider eye appeal when determining value, and with error coins this means the mistake must be clear, dramatic, and visible without magnification for it to command top dollar. For example, an off-center strike that is barely noticeable may fetch a premium but not millions, whereas one that leaves a large blank crescent-shaped area while preserving the date and mint mark can be worth staggering amounts. And when such dramatic errors coincide with a historically significant year or mint mark, the effect multiplies. Some experts speculate that the $29 million valuation is fueled not only by the coin's physical rarity but also by the mythology surrounding it, because whenever a coin is dubbed unique or one of a kind, collectors treat it as an irreplaceable piece of American history, almost like owning a fine painting or a rare artifact. And unlike stocks or bonds, coins carry intrinsic value tied to metal content and historical significance, making them timeless assets. In fact, auction houses often report bidding wars breaking out when such rare coins surface, with wealthy investors treating them as both trophies and investments. So when we say the 1992 P quarter is worth $29 million, it is not just about metal or age, it is about the convergence of errors, rarity, demand, and the prestige that comes with owning something no one else has. Consider too the psychological thrill of chasing errors, as collectors search through rolls of coins hoping to stumble upon that one gem, fueling the legend of the 1992 P quarter as an attainable dream even if the odds are astronomically low. And every story of someone finding a valuable coin in circulation adds fuel to this hunt, making it a cultural phenomenon beyond just numismatics. To put things in perspective, most 1992 P quarters are worth face value of 25 cents and less in pristine condition for grading purposes, but it is the rare flawed ones that leap into the stratosphere of value, and the thought that a single mistake can multiply worth by millions fascinates people around the world, which is why this coin is now considered not just a collectible but a piece of financial and cultural history. And as we reflect on its journey, it is remarkable how chance, human error, and historical context converge to create something extraordinary. A small coin once meant for vending machines and everyday purchases now immortalized in the halls of numismatic lore, inspiring awe and sparking debates about the limits of value in the collecting world. So as you have seen, the 1992 P quarter dollar coin is a symbol of how tiny details and minting mishaps can transform ordinary objects into treasures worth millions. Its story is a reminder to always check your change, because the next legendary discovery could be sitting quietly in your pocket right now. And with that thrilling possibility, I want to thank you for staying with us on this incredible journey into the hidden world of rare coins and million-dollar mistakes. And if you enjoyed exploring the fascinating story of the 1992 P quarter with us today, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and stay tuned for more amazing stories about coins that turned into treasures worth fortunes. Next, today we will unravel the mystery, history, and hidden fortune behind the 1997 P quarter dollar coin that has stunned collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike by reaching a mind-blowing estimated value of $14 million thanks to its unique combination of errors, mistakes, rarity, and the incredible stories that surround it. So sit back and get ready to explore every corner of what makes this coin so extraordinary, because when we talk about coins becoming worth millions, it is not just about the shiny metal or the face value, but about the human stories, minting flaws, production anomalies, and collector demand that all come together to transform something most people overlook into one of the most sought-after treasures in the numismatic world. And the 1997 P quarter dollar is a perfect case study of how small imperfections can lead to monumental value, because this coin from the Philadelphia Mint, struck in massive numbers for circulation, somehow slipped into history with a handful of examples showing extraordinary and shocking mistakes that turned them from everyday pocket change into multi-million-dollar collectibles. And we will begin by considering the background of the coin itself, a Washington quarter design introduced back in 1932 to honor the bicentennial of George Washington's birth. which by the 1990s was still being struck in the same familiar style with Washington's profile on the obverse and the heraldic eagle on the reverse, but by 1997 the mint was preparing for changes that would come later with the state quarters program in 1999, and this transitional period is often overlooked, yet it is exactly during these seemingly ordinary years that some of the strangest and most valuable mint errors occurred, and collectors today know that 1997 was a year full of surprising mistakes, with the Philadelphia Mint producing a handful of quarters that defied the quality control systems, and this is where the 1997 P quarter worth $14 million comes into the picture, because it combines multiple layers of error rarity, from striking issues to possible double dies, misaligned dies, planchet flaws, and even transitional errors that should not have existed in that year but somehow did, making it a coin unlike any other. And when we dive into the specific errors, one of the most famous possibilities lies in double die obverse or reverse issues, where the design elements are struck twice slightly offset, creating a ghostly doubling of the date. Mottos like "In God We Trust," or the word liberty, and sometimes the eagle's wings and feathers on the reverse, and for collectors this kind of error is pure gold because it shows not only how the mint struggled with die preparation but also how rare such a misstep is for a single year. And then there are the off-center strikes where the quarter is not perfectly aligned in the press so that part of the design is missing while another part is stretched or distorted, and in 1997 some examples have shown dramatic off-centering, leaving large blank crescents of metal and distorted images of Washington's face or the eagle, and when combined with a bold P mint mark, these become incredibly valuable because they are instantly recognizable as mistakes that never should have left the mint. And then we have wrong planchet errors where a coin is accidentally struck on the wrong metal blank, and there are stories of 1997 P quarters being struck on nickel planchets or even on cent planchets, creating undersized, lightweight, and oddly colored coins that look bizarre compared to normal quarters, and this is one of the holy grails for error collectors because the odds of such a mistake happening and surviving are astronomically low, and when one surfaces it becomes priceless. And then there is the speculation about transitional errors, where some believe a few 1997 quarters may have been struck on experimental or leftover blanks as the mint tested different alloys ahead of the state quarters launch, and such transitional planchets, if confirmed, would explain why certain 1997 P examples have unusual luster, different weight tolerances, or even slightly altered edge reads compared to normal quarters, and if one of those rare coins combines multiple errors such as a double die obverse with a wrong planchet strike and an off-center alignment, suddenly we are looking at the ultimate storm of numismatic rarity, which is exactly why collectors have valued the most spectacular 1997 P quarter error at around $14 million, because no other example exists with the same combination of features, making it unique and irreplaceable. And as we think about how such a coin can achieve such value, it is not only about the error itself but about the mythology that grows around it, the stories of discovery and pocket change, the rumors of mint workers who noticed the flaw but failed to stop it, the dealers who passed on it not realizing its significance, and finally the lucky collector who preserved it long enough for the world to recognize its worth. And if we zoom out for a moment, we can see how the entire market for rare coins operates in waves of demand and excitement, with error coins always drawing particular attention because they represent human imperfection in an otherwise mechanical, standardized system, and collectors are drawn to the uniqueness, the idea that one coin tells a story no other coin can tell, and in the case of the 1997 P quarter, the tale is especially compelling because it came from an era when quarters were changing, when the Philadelphia Mint was under pressure to prepare for mass production of the new state designs, and when the old Washington design was nearing its end, creating a sense of nostalgia and rarity at the same time. And this adds to the value because the coin does not only represent a minting mistake, it represents the closing of one era and the dawn of another, and in this context, we can explore the possibilities of how many such error coins may exist, with estimates ranging from only one known specimen to a handful of examples hidden in private collections. But even if a few more were discovered, the value would not plummet because the coin has already cemented itself in history as one of the greatest mint blunders of the modern quarter era, and if we imagine the thrill of discovering one, it adds another layer of fascination, because you could be sorting through change at a grocery store, or checking an old jar of coins passed down from relatives and suddenly notice a quarter that looks just slightly off. Maybe the date is doubled, maybe the edge looks wrong, maybe Washington's profile seems distorted, and that moment of realization could transform an ordinary day into a life-changing event. And this dream of discovery is exactly what keeps collectors engaged, fuels auctions, and pushes values into the millions, because the coin market thrives not only on supply and demand but on imagination and storytelling, and the 1997 P quarter worth $14 million is the perfect symbol of that dream. And to truly grasp how incredible this is, think about the fact that 1997 quarters were struck in the hundreds of millions, meaning that 99.999% of them are utterly ordinary, worth only 25 cents. Yet hidden within that sea of uniformity is a single jewel, a coin that escaped unnoticed, carrying mistakes that transformed it into a multi-million-dollar artifact, and that is the magic of numismatics, where rarity is everything, and the rarer the error, the higher the demand. And when collectors battle at auction houses with bids climbing into the millions, what they are really buying is not just metal but history, rarity, and the thrill of owning something no one else can have. And this is why the 1997 P quarter dollar has become legendary. Its value not just a reflection of the mistakes themselves but of the cultural fascination with rarity, chance, and the possibility that treasure still hides in plain sight. And as we close this exploration, I invite you to think about the coins in your pocket right now, because any one of them could hold a secret, an error, or an anomaly that the world has not yet recognized. And maybe one day you too could stumble upon a discovery like the 1997 P quarter that turned into a $14 million marvel. So keep your eyes open, keep your curiosity alive, and if you enjoyed this journey into the world of rare coins and million-dollar mistakes, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join us again as we uncover more hidden treasures from the world of numismatics. Now we are going to explore the captivating story of the 1981 D quarter dollar coin, a coin that on the surface looks like any ordinary 25-cent piece you might have used to buy a soda or play an arcade game back in the early 80s, yet hidden within this common appearance lies a numismatic treasure that has shocked collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike, because certain error-filled and mistake-laden examples of the 1981 D quarter have been rumored and documented to sell for as much as $9 million, and today we will unfold why such a seemingly small coin can command such an astronomical value, what kinds of minting errors and production flaws make it possible, the historical background that contributed to these rare strikes, the conditions under which these errors might have slipped past the watchful eyes of the United States Mint, and the limitless possibilities that keep collectors scouring through rolls of quarters in the hopes of striking gold in the form of a $9 million coin. So let's begin this thrilling exploration with the understanding that 1981 was an important year in American coinage, as it marked a transition period leading into changes of the 1980s when coin presses, die usage, and mint quality control all faced challenges due to the high demand for circulating coins. And at the Denver Mint, marked by the D Mint mark under the word "In God We Trust," vast quantities of quarters were struck to meet commercial demand. Yet as with any high-volume production system, especially in an era when older equipment was still being used alongside more modernized machinery, mistakes were bound to happen, and these mistakes, rather than being discarded or destroyed, sometimes slipped out into circulation, and that is precisely how today we have examples of the 1981 D quarter with multiple categories of errors that have been documented to turn a 25-cent coin into one of the most valuable numismatic items in history. Starting with one of the most famous categories of mint errors, which is the double die strike, where the coin's design is imprinted more than once due to misalignment during the hubbing process. And for the 1981 D quarter, some double die obverse show clear doubling on the inscription, such as Liberty and the date, 1981, while others have dramatic doubling visible in the motto, "In God We Trust," creating a visual effect where the letters appear almost shadowed or blurred. And this kind of dramatic doubling is highly prized by collectors, especially when it is well centered and visible without magnification, and coins with such doubling in pristine condition can soar into the millions because they are not just rare but also highly appealing visually. But the story doesn't stop with double dies, because another group of errors that make the 1981 D quarter extraordinarily valuable are off-center strikes, and in these cases, the coin blank was not properly seated in the coin press at the moment of striking, causing the design to be stamped off-center. And while minor off-center strikes of just a few percent are fairly common, the true rarities are those that are dramatically off-center, sometimes showing only half of George Washington's profile or leaving a crescent of blank planchet exposed. And when these dramatic off-center examples also feature a clear date and mint mark, they become almost priceless, for collectors value the combination of an obvious striking error with enough identifying detail to verify its authenticity. And in fact, it is coins like this from 1981 D that have been recorded as selling at auction for staggering sums. But still, we have more categories of mistakes that can explain how such an ordinary coin could reach a $9 million valuation, including broad strikes, which occur when the collar die that holds the coin in place fails and the coin spreads out wider than normal, often with a flattened appearance at the edges, and when combined with other striking anomalies, a broad-struck quarter from 1981 can become extremely rare, and collectors are willing to pay a premium for such unique survivors. But perhaps the most thrilling errors are the wrong planchet errors, where a quarter design is mistakenly struck on a coin blank intended for another denomination, such as a dime, a nickel, or even a foreign coin. And in the case of the 1981 quarter, there have been reports of examples struck on copper-nickel-clad dime planchets, resulting in a quarter that is smaller, lighter, and missing parts of the design. And the dramatic wrong planchet errors can reach astronomical prices because they are extremely scarce, visually distinct, and tell an incredible story of how mistakes can escape the mint. And alongside these known categories, we cannot forget the possibility of transitional errors, where leftover planchets from prior years or experimental metal compositions are accidentally used, creating coins that differ in composition and weight from standard issues. And some collectors have speculated that a few 1981 quarters may have been struck on leftover 40% silver planchets originally intended for special issues, though such discoveries are incredibly rare. But if authenticated, they would easily propel the value of such coins into the multi-million-dollar range, contributing to the legendary $9 million status. And then there are the smaller yet still significant categories of errors, such as die cracks, where fractures in the die leave raised lines across the coin, or die cuds, where chunks of the die break off leaving large blobs of metal on the coin surface. And while these might not individually reach millions, when combined with other dramatic errors or found on coins in flawless mint state condition, they can create specimens that collectors will battle over at auction, driving prices to levels that seem unimaginable for a simple quarter. And condition is another crucial factor, because for a coin to reach the $9 million value range, it must not only possess a dramatic error but also survive in a remarkably high grade, ideally mint state or even certified by grading agencies such as PCGS or NGC as MS67 or higher. And since the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of quarters in 1981, most went into heavy circulation, meaning they acquired scratches, wear, and loss of luster. So finding an error coin in pristine condition is like finding a diamond in a field of gravel, rare beyond belief and worth every penny of the price collectors are willing to pay. And when you combine rarity, dramatic visual appeal, historical context, and pristine condition, you have the perfect storm that allows a coin like the 1981 quarter to achieve legendary status. But what makes the story even more fascinating is the possibility still out there, because while only a handful of such error coins are known to exist, collectors around the world believe that more may still be hiding in coin jars, bank rolls, or forgotten collections in attics and basements, waiting to be discovered. And this possibility fuels a treasure-hunting mindset where everyday people continue to examine their change with the dream that one day they too might stumble upon a coin worth $9 million. And the excitement doesn't stop at the individual level, because the numismatic community thrives on these discoveries, with auction houses recording record-breaking prices, coin clubs buzzing with rumors of new finds, and the story of each rare coin adding to the mythology of American money. And this mythology is what makes numismatics such a captivating hobby, for it is not just about metal and minting but about history, chance, luck, and the human desire to possess something unique and irreplaceable. And when we think about the 1981 quarter worth $9 million, it is not only a reflection of the coin itself but also of the passion of collectors, the market forces of rarity and demand, and the incredible narratives that errors and mistakes create. And if we take a step back, we see that this story also teaches us an important lesson, that even the smallest details and the tiniest errors can transform something ordinary into something extraordinary, that in a world where millions of identical coins exist, it is the flawed few that become priceless. And this is why stories of the 1981 quarter continue to capture the imagination of so many, reminding us that treasure can be found not just in gold bars or gemstone mines but even in the change rattling in your pocket. So as we conclude this exploration into the $9 million 1981 quarter, keep in mind that the next time you hold a quarter, you may very well be holding a fortune in disguise. And that is the magic of numismatics, where history, error, rarity, and luck all come together in a single coin that can change someone's life forever. And with that, I encourage you to stay curious, keep hunting, and always check your change carefully, because you never know what incredible treasure you might discover. And if you enjoyed this journey into the story of the 1981 quarter and its $9 million legacy, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with fellow treasure hunters so we can continue uncovering the world's most fascinating coin stories together.